Some experimenting, shall we?
That doesn't make
We're going to
sense.
talk about absolute value inequalities. So you've got signs like this, like this, like this, like this, and like this. Okay? All of those. Crazy. Now, luckily they don't give us a not equal to symbol. Alright, so if we wanted to know the absolute value of 3 or -3, what does that mean?
3
In English,
or 3.
it means on a number line, how many steps away from 0 is that number?
3.
3.
Yeah, so if this is -3 and +3, they each are 3 steps away from 0. Alright, so there's a little review of that. Should we try and step it up and make it a little harder?
No.
Yeah,
I guess I don't have a choice in this now.
Okay. It's difficult to describe the absolute value of a number by using words. So I like to say how far away from 0 is it. But sometimes we're not going to have a 0 or an equal sign, so then that gets really confusing. Well, here's a definition mathematical definition. If x, it's an if-then statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then if x equals 0, and what's the other option? Greater than 0, equal to 0, or less than 0. Then the absolute value of x has some different answers.
Just in case, if
x is greater than 0, like 3, what's the absolute value of it?
3.
It's itself,
Oh.
right? What if x is 0? What's the absolute value of 0?
0.
Yeah, he's no steps away from it. Okay? Now this one is basically, what if x is a negative number?
What?
If x is a negative number.
Is it negative x?
Yes.
Whoa.
I can't, well, let's say x is -3. The absolute value is 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the opposite, so we have to say that, like Jordan just said. Can't believe you got that. This is weird, don't you think?
Yep,
Because you think, oh, I don't have a negative. I can't have a negative for an absolute value. That negative sign really just means the opposite. So if we use this, let's say x is -4. Well, it's this. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The opposite of -4. So this is a little bit of a mind bender, okay? So, enjoy it. There might be new routes being made in your brain right now, because that was weird. Okay. Let's now, we're going to go ahead and do graph.
Keep dropping my
Now, if we see something like this and it says graph, which is our first example, are we talking about this kind of graph?
No.
No, we meant
No.
line graph.
We just, yeah, a number line graph, okay? So look at me, so nice, I gave you that line already. And we need to graph this. Alright, so let's think about that.
2 is less than x. Absolute value of x.
The absolute value of x has to be greater than 2. So here's the trick on how to do it. Well, let's think of some numbers, right? What if this was 0? Is 0 greater than 2?
No.
What if we had a -1 in here?
No.
Then it would not be greater than 2, right? What about a 2?
No.
No. Close though, right? What about 3?
3. 4.
Yes.
Does 3 work? Okay. What about 2.5?
Yeah.
2.1?
Yes.
Yeah.
2.0000001.
Yeah.
So what do we do here? We put an open circle. So it's a 2, but not quite. And so it's all these numbers, right? Is that all of it?
H po.
What if x is -1? Is that true? Or this? Or this?
The last one.
Yes, this is true. These are false, right?
Also true.
This is bigger than that. So, oh, look at that. The graph also goes down to here.
Fucking crayon.
Hmm?
Some guy with the black crayons.
So here is a rule, but it's a confusing rule because it can get mixed up with other rules, if you know what I'm saying. What I do when I'm graphing these things, if I have absolute value is greater than a number, you guys see this? I rewrite it into two different inequalities, right? I'm going to take this off. I took the inequality off. Do you see where I got that?
Yeah.
Jordan?
Yes.
But what if I do this?
Is less than.
That's another mind bender. You guys see where I got that?
Yep.
And so what I would do, and that's this graph, right? This represents that line right here, and this represents this part of our graph. This is kind of hard to teach. So it really, the best way if you get confused is to plug in numbers and see what makes sense for you. Okay, the next one is graph. Go ahead and try that. Have you guys done this second example yet? Similar to the one we just did, except it's less than this time, not greater than. These actually I find to be easier.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not going to do that. Let's just do it this way. Basically, let's look at it this way. The steps away from 0 this guy has to be less than or equal to 3. Does that make sense?
Oh, I thought those
The
were
steps,
ones. Whoops.
the number of steps, this value is got to be smaller than 3. So it would look like this. Has to be less than 3 steps away from 0.
Those aren't.
Does that make
ones.
sense?
They're just-
Oh.
The other one was it has to be more than 2 steps away. Is that easier to explain? I was trying to figure out. The other one was this, right? What this means is x must be more than 2 steps away from 0. Does that, look at example 1.
Okay.
That's what that means. Does that make more sense if you look at the graph? X must be more than 2 steps away from 0. So that's why you had 0 and -2, or 2 and -2. Okay, the last example. Is it the last? No, it's not the last. No. Okay,
So what
now,
was it?
how do we say this? This
I think it's like 3, 3. Yeah.
This means that x needs to be
4 steps away from 0.
It's a trick.
4 steps.
x needs to be
You've been fooled.
x needs to be less than -4 steps away from 0. Can you be -4 steps away from a number?
Yeah.
This is what they're saying is x must be more than -4 steps from 0. Can we think of a
5, -5.
situation where it's not more than -4 steps from 0?
I don't. Yeah, never mind.
Can we think of any example? Let's just try something.
confused.
What about 1? Does that work? Or -1?
-17.
What about -10? Or 10?
That doesn't work. None of these work.
Is 1 less than -4 away? Do any of these work?
No.
False.
-4.
Can you be less than negative? All of these are going to come out as positive numbers, right?
Mhm.
No matter what, there's going to be a positive. Can you ever have a positive number less than a negative number?
No.
What?
Can you ever have a positive less than a negative number? All of these, this is always going to be positive, right?
Okay.
You can't be negative steps away from 0.
Okay. Now I get it. Okay.
And can you ever be, so can you ever have a positive number less than -4?
No.
No. So this logically doesn't make sense. So
But
when it says,
scientifically,
it doesn't make any sense. So here's your graph. When you get something funky like that, and of course they're going to try and trick you down the road, right? So how do you graph that? Okay, ready? Watch. I'm about to graph it. I graphed it.
Alright.
Nothing. Nothing works. So you don't. You leave an empty number line.
Can I cross it out?
Nope. You just leave it. It's saying that the set of values for that to be true is empty.
Okay.
And if you were to write it in set notation, it would look like this. Right?
Mhm.
Or this. That's the answer to that. But when they say ask to graph it, you just leave your number line empty. Okay? But let's now, what if we change this to a +4? Or a greater than sign? Alright? How about that? Does that change anything?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
Yes.
it does.
It does. It could be -3, -2, -1,
Let's
1,
just skip that one.
0, 2.
But I did on your, so we'll just look up here. Yeah, this could be, what could it not be?
-4, -5.
Yeah, what if this is, well, if it's
It
-4.
could be -5.
It could be
And
4.
then it wouldn't, oh, but that'd still be 5.
4.
So everything works.
Ooh, everything works, right? If this was a 0, 0 is bigger than -4. In fact, this is always going to be a positive number, right? Or 0. Is that always going to be, is a positive number going to always be bigger than -4?
Yes.
So how do we graph that? Like this. Just shade in the whole thing through to the arrows.
Ta-da.
Okay, but do I even have that on your, I don't have that in your assignment, do I?
No.
So you're graphing the wrong thing there, because that, you should have had an empty set. This, you just, so don't get that confused what you just graphed. Maybe label it as absolute value of x is greater than -4 there.
Okay. Next.
Okay,
Sign.
next one. Oh, what do we do with this?
Oh no. It's got to be negative.
It's going to be
But
a
it's
mind
also
bender,
got to
right?
be bigger than 3.
Actually, it's not as bad as you think.
3 to 3.
Do you all remember the rule when you multiply or divide by a negative?
It's going to be negative.
What happens? This is
Positive.
an important rule. I need eyeballs up here because you're not going to get this. What happens when I divide by a negative? Why do I want to do that? Because I want
Positive.
the absolute value by itself. I don't want any negatives on the outside. What's the rule? Do you guys remember? It was from a few lessons ago.
Positive.
Sign flips.
Sign flips, thank you. Good.
Oh.
The sign flips.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Gosh, you should listen or pay attention, huh? Not all just common sense. So, how do we graph that? That means this has to be less than or equal to 3 steps away from 0.
3.
So it looks like
So
this,
we're
right?
going
Do you see that? Are these all the values that are less than 3 steps away from 0?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, same with the next rule. So what was the trick? Is get your absolute value alone, right? On one side of the inequality. So if we're going to do that, we do that with the next example, which is going to take some steps to get it in graphable form, right? So, what should we do first?
Get the negative on the right side.
Yeah, but is that the first thing we should do or the second thing we should do?
Second. Get the negative 2 out of there.
We need to do this. So that's step 1.
And divide by the negative. And that goes the
That
right way.
flips. And so now we're just graphing x. So absolute value of x is less than 3. So this has to be less than 3 steps from 0. And make sure you're very careful about your opened and your closed circles. That's open because it's not including, it's not inclusive. Okay?
What happens on practice B? It says absolute value of x is greater than 0. Do you just shade the whole thing?
Next problem, we're done. Woo-hoo, everybody.
Wait, I want you guys to look at B. B is a fun one. Jordan wants to know if everything is a solution of that.
I think
Does
we just
any value for x solve that? Can we think of any number that it's not true?
0.
Yeah. Is this true?
No.
No. False. So how do we graph that? That's the one time where that's not true.
Empty circle in the middle.
Empty circle in the middle. Good, Isaac. Good.
Woohoo.
Right at 0. And then graph everybody else. Awesome, guys.
Okay.
And the other one, you just solve the 2 steps. So we got through all the lessons. You don't need to watch any online this week because we've done them all. Now you just do the practice and exercises and test 18, 19, 18.